Oh, you.
And we are back. Here I am, Fly Navarro. And today I'm being joined by Mr. Chip Shafer. Captain Chip, how are you today, sir?
I'm fine, sir. And
I,
yourself?
you know what? I am happier than a kid on Christmas morning.
Well, that's happy.
That is pretty happy. Miss Terry texted me a little while ago that you were going to be on here. I said, Miss Terry, you don't know how happy I am. When I relaunched the podcast, your name was the first name I had on my list. You were the one person I wanted to have on here more than anybody else.
Well, I'm flattered.
Well, listen, when I'm talking to you, I still feel like a kid. But at 52 years of age, I was very fortunate enough to dock next to you for many, many seasons in many, many locations. And to me, you were always the gold standard of the fishing community because, first of all, it was your business. And to this day, I still tell everybody when they ask me what I'm doing or how I did it, I'm like, listen, I'm a fisherman. My job is to catch fish. And that's the way I saw you all those years. Your job was to go out and catch fish, and man, did you do it?
Well, my first job was try to select great mates, and I had great fortune in doing that. And all I had to do was start and stop the boat. They did most of the fish catching. Thank the Lord.
Well, it's funny you bring that up because that was definitely something I wanted to talk to you about. I was talking to a dear friend of mine. We've been friends since elementary school. I was talking to him last night, and he goes, "What do you got going on this weekend?" I said, I have Captain Chip Shafer joining me on my podcast." And I says, you need to understand, you don't understand because you're not in my industry, but Chip is like Bill Walsh in NFL football. He was a great, great coach, but it's his coaching legacy for all the other coaches he put out. You have put out some of the greatest mates that have turned into captains in our industry.
Well, that's what I've been. I think if looking back through the years, that's what I've been most proud of. And they've gone out there and been cutting edge individuals in our industry, certainly, and done well. And I'm always proud to see that taking place.
It is truly amazing. And it was one of the things when we briefly talked yesterday about what I wanted to talk about was the fact that this laundry list of deckhands that you've had that are now incredible captains, they probably have young deckhands that maybe they've heard your name, but they might not know who you are. And I really wanted to bring you on here to talk about it. I wanted to talk about how you pick some of these mates and how you cultivated what is a passion. I mean, anybody who's been in this business understands that it's a passion. We do it because we love it. Very few people get a chance to do it for 40 or 50 years if they didn't absolutely love fishing. So what was it? What would you say would be the first thing that you would look for in a young deckhand?
Well, at a charter boat dock, you're watching everything that's taking place around you. So you've got your eye on up and coming people that show the desire you're talking about, the obvious love of fishing. If they don't have that, no matter what you do, you're not going to do much with them, I don't think. But there were a lot of people at the docks at Hatteras, North Carolina, Oregon Inlet, and even in Fort Pierce that you could watch and see who was coming along well. That's those that were starting out at maybe a inlet inshore boat level that wanted to switch to offshore, which was the natural trend of events at most docks is pretty much the same. Kids show up to ride along to get a job cleaning the boat when you get in, a wash boy or something like that, followed by a job on an inshore boat, followed by a job on an offshore boat, and then on from there. And I don't think that I ever, I'm trying to think, I can't believe that I ever courted anyone who didn't show some interest in working with me, who might have approached me knowing that maybe that somebody was going to leave me and leave an opportunity to work with me. I don't think that I ever got anyone that didn't approach me about working. I may be wrong on that, but it doesn't come to mind real quick that I went out on a campaign of trying to get someone because you don't you didn't want to walk up to somebody that was working happily with someone and say, hey, how would you like to work with me or something like that. It didn't, in all businesses, robbing of talent that takes place every day, all the time. But I don't remember a whole lot of that going on at the docks. Mostly the mates would come to someone and say, "You have an opening, don't you? And I would sure like to work for you." And that's the way most of that came about, as I remember. And at 78, a lot of stuff I don't remember that may have taken place.
Well, you know what? First of all, it's amazing that you're still doing it at 78. I think that's awesome.
That's because I have three great mates at any given time on this operation who take care of me in every aspect. Without them, I wouldn't even be able to get the boat to crank.
Oh, that's true. That's truly amazing. To this day, I always tell Naomi when we've been together now 10 years, when we first met, she was telling me what she expected from her business and when she wanted to retire. And I said, hey, listen, if you're looking for somebody to go play golf with you in your later on years, that's not me. I like to work. I like projects. I like to do things, and I'm going to continue working because I've been very fortunate that I found a passion. I made a living out of it. I built a business promoting it, and now I'm building a business to help other people that promote it. So really, I spend most of my time talking about fishing. And this is what I love. I mean, I get goosebumps every day talking about it. And yeah, I hope I can continue doing it until I'm in my 80s or 90s. And whenever somebody calls me to go fishing, I very rarely turn it down. Very rarely. So I'm happy to see that you're still doing it. And yeah, it makes me feel good. It gives me something to shoot for.
Well, I've been blessed to be able to do it for so long, and like I say, due to circumstances that have come along, to be able to do it so late into life. That I know that the day is coming when I won't, and I don't want to continue doing it until I actually have a liability of on the boat, and that there's an age that comes to as well. When you've got more doctor's appointments than you have time to be able to take your boat out, as scheduled.
Oh my.
and, there's- and we're getting there pretty quick, but. I dread the day that I know that I climb off the bridge for the last time. It's funny you talk about that. I had a friend uh, message me last night, and he's an older captain as well. And he was saying, "What are we going to do?" He says, "I think I'm going to end up dying chasing down a blue marlin." And I told him that, my plan right now is to try to last as long as my boss, who is even older than me. But after that, I don't deceive myself that I'm not ready. I wouldn't be an asset to an operation that I had to jump in, hands on, feet on, everything on, without the kind of help that I receive from my mates today. The three guys that I have that are guarding the boat right now in Cabo San Lucas. Well, one's home, but two are there guarded at any given time. Without them, I wouldn't even begin to approach a fishing trip. So, I mean, I'm realistic about that. That day is coming when I climb off the bridge for the last time, but I probably won't miss the boat maintenance, the legalities of different countries. I know I won't miss going through airports over and over again, but I will miss the fishing. I will miss staring into that sonar or Nick making a suggestion in the spread that we make a change and all of a sudden it makes things happen better. We all enjoy things like that, and I'll certainly miss seeing the fish, the animals, and 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 making a trip happen. There's a lot of good feeling when you come in from a good trip, 4 or 5 day trip, and you've made it. You and the people with you have made it happen successfully.
That's
And I'll miss that. I'll miss that.
It's one of the things that I do miss, but again, I get to enjoy it at a limited amount is the camaraderie because you're a team.
Absolutely.
It's one of those things. I I was on the reel type for 14 years. We were a
Yes,
team.
sir.
It's a family. I love all those guys. I still talk to Captain Ed. To this day, Captain Eddie is the longest relationship I've ever had in my life.
He's a good one. He's a good one. I've enjoyed fishing around Eddie. He
He's
was over there in the Pacific for a couple of years, and man, I miss him, and I miss Newt over there for exchanging information and all. I like fishing around both those fellas, and I
well.
miss them over
Uh,
there.
It's funny you mentioned Newt. I had him on the other day, and then 2 days later, I had Captain Butch Cox, and one of the things we brought up, Newt. I told Newt that I had been reaching out to you to get you on. He's like, "Oh man, I can't wait to hear that. That's going to be so awesome." And Newt, like me, uh, we're kind of historians of the sport. We love it, and I met Newt when he was 14 years old, and I've really enjoyed watching him progress, like you said, from a washdown boy all the way up. He was just this little 14-year-old kid with a big blonde afro and these ugly white glasses. But he has turned into such an unbelievable skipper. And I've really enjoyed that. And then I talked to Butch the other day, and one of the things we talked about was the opportunity he gave me to go fishing with you and Nick. I was so excited because I had never gotten the opportunity to fish with you. And when I was walking down the dock, he's like, "What are you doing? We need another deckhand for the next 3 days." And I'm like, I get to fish with Chip? Absolutely, man."
All I can remember on that trip that must have really been impressive to you was I was holding the teaser waiting for a blue marlin to show up who was about 10 times faster than I was, and I got literally raped on that teaser. That's all I remember. I don't think we ever saw him again.
But I had such a good time. And then Nick, your boss, I grew up right here in West Palm Beach. Nick is a living legend here in West Palm Beach. He owned the local Ford dealership. He fished the Silver Sailfish
Four
Derby all
floors
those.
of Fords.
Oh my God. It was great. It was great. So the fact that, here are these two guys that, I've known for so long and I never had the opportunity to fish with you guys. I had that chance to watch what you guys do, which is uh fly fish for marlin. And you guys have turned it into such a science.
Well, Nick's thought it out. He's always trying to improve techniques, and he does a good job of doing that. He's a superb fisherman.
That he is. In every aspect, now he's gotten into the fly fishing, but earlier on in his career, when I was still in school, we would read about him. He had won the Silver Sailfish Derby so many years, and doing all the things back home. So uh, to watch that it seems like once he gets to build it out to a science, he wants to find something a little bit more difficult to try to catch him.
Yeah, perhaps so. Yeah, that may be
Yeah,
led to the fly. His fly thing was sort of an accidental switch in what fishing career, I guess you would say. But we're going to leave him to tell you about all that. Okay.
that no 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 that's fine. That's fine. That's perfectly okay. My biggest thing is I was excited that I got to fish with you and Nick, and I believe you had Bud Grammer on board too.
Uh, Bud was the catalyst that caused Nick to turn to fly fishing. But once again, that's a story I'm going to leave to Nick
Not a
today.
problem. Listen,
Okay.
like I said, I just had a great time fishing with all you guys, and I got a chance to talk with Captain Butch about it the other day. We were reminiscing about that and all our years in St. Thomas together. So now, Chip, and I'm assuming, but you started off as a young boy fishing. Where did you grow up, and what was that first introductory into fishing in general, not even as a job?
Well, My first fishing was the typical entry level drug. I think in a lot of kids fishing startup would be brim, BRIM in the South, bluegill to people, and other panfish like pumpkin seeds. I don't know if you remember those,
I don't remember those.
and crappie.
I remember crappie, yeah.
Crappie to some people, speckled perch to Floridians. Uh, Bass, largemouth bass, which we did a horrible job of fishing for. Now, when you look on this TV stuff, these guys slay these bass all
Oh my
kinds of
God.
different ways. We we did well to catch a bass when I started doing it, but we had a great time. So my initial fishing was freshwater fishing in the Piedmont region of North Carolina.
Okay. Okay. And was it a family thing?
My father did take me fishing quite a original fishing was with my father. Yes,
Uh,
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay. Yeah, that's usually that's a
Then, of
lot
course,
of
you had
people.
friends, school friends, that as soon as you got out of school, one of your mamas picked you up and you had your fishing rods ready and all, and off to a pond or a lake somewhere to fish until dark. There was a lot of that.
Oh,
And the
listen,
same thing with hunting during hunting season, guns and stuff ready and in the car, change clothes, an hour and a half of hunting before it got dark. There was a lot of that too.
it's amazing nowadays. Again, I'm aging myself. I'm old enough to remember when it was okay to drive to high school with your shotgun in your truck.
Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah.
I,
Oh,
I
that's
would,
been just an enormous change. Now a SWAT operation would surround the truck and they'd close the school down while they hunted for the guilty student.
yeah, there was nothing to go. I mean, here in South Florida, you had to go a little bit farther for the deer, but it was nothing to have a field to go dove hunting in the afternoons.
Absolutely. Absolutely. That's what we were doing. Dove hunting, quail hunting, we had the dog ready. Uh like you say, firearms were just a part of it, but we won't get political on
No,
here
no, no,
again
no.
with
I don't want
all.
to get political. Listen, I just like to reminisce
I
about.
do
Yeah,
too. I
it
do
was
too.
it was so cool, and the trajectory of most fishermen, especially on in our side, on the professional side, is so similar. No matter where you're from, whether you're from the Gulf Coast or the Mid-Atlantic or from Florida, it's that love of the outdoors.
Yes, sir.
It's the love of the outdoors, and when you get that love, it creates uh, a sense of I want to conserve it, I want to respect it, and now as I've gotten older, I want to share it.
Yes, sir.
That's to me, it's a really big thing. Well, from afternoons in school, when did you make the jump into earning a penny?
Uh, I was in college, had been going to, I was very fortunate as a child. We knew some people down on the Outer Banks, in Currituck County, not in Dare County, but in Currituck County. And as a boy, for 3 or 4 summers, from about 14 on, I had a skiff that was kept down there in Currituck, and I had full run of Currituck Sound. I stayed at a friend's house for a few months each summer. I guess they just got me out of the house, and that was great bass fishing in those days. Currituck Sound was fabulous bass fishing. In fact, when it was all fresh water and panfish. And then I got a taste of bluefish on the beach, surf casting, which I thoroughly enjoyed with the old Hopkins. And that was probably my first taste of saltwater fishing. A little bit in Morehead City, a few headboat trips down there, which we did, which I enjoyed too as well. Black sea bass mostly was the primary fish, but shit, I thought we were after giant grouper or something. It was fun for me. And then I was in college. I dropped out of college because I was supposed to be a doctor. All my family was doctors, and my heart wasn't really in that. So, in my sophomore year at Duke University, I dropped out of college and drove over to Raleigh and enlisted in the Marine Corps. That was in late 1966, and I entered the Marine Corps on the 13th of no, on Valentine's Day, 1967. Reported to Paris Island and ended up spending 6 years in the Marine Corps. I got out in March of '73, and during that time, I was wounded in Vietnam, and they always they try to send you for your recuperation to the hospital nearest your home of record, which for me was North Carolina. So they sent me to the Naval Hospital at Camp Lejeune, North Carolina, to recover. And while there, I started. I was there a long time, and I started finding out what great duck hunting and fishing was available there on the New River and the Atlantic Ocean there. And when it was about time for me to return to the regular Fleet Marine Force, there was an old captain there who liked me. I had gone to officer training, so I was a second lieutenant, and he said, "I need an executive officer. If you want to stay here at base, I can I can get it where you're not going to get flipped back into the Fleet Marine Force, but you'll work here at base." So I raised my hand and said, "Yeah, I'd be happy to do that." Captain Ladd, that was his name. And so he got me a job there on base, which really was a sort of a screw into the American people because I didn't do much but hunt and fish and did my job there that I had, but a lot of it was administrative stuff and hunted and fished there and got to know an old charter boat guy out of Swansboro, and I'd mate with him on weekends and stuff like that, and just gradually got to enjoy fishing. And when I got out in March of '73, I didn't really know exactly where I was going to go or what I was going to do. But sitting there in my truck, and I said, I think I'll, I think I'm going to go up to Hatteras and try to get a mate job and see how that works out. So I drove up to Hatteras. It was in March '73. That's pretty miserable time of the year in Hatteras, but it's a good time to get a job because
It's a perfect time. It's
fishing
at the very beginning,
fishing
man.
hadn't started. So you get in on the paint and scrape it and carry it all before you ever go fishing. But I did get a job, and I've never done anything but fish ever since.
Wow.
So
So
that
that
worked out good. That driving up there to Hatters worked out real good for me.
it sure looks like it. Now that first season when you were working on the boat, approximately how many days a month were you guys fishing? Were you pretty much 28, 29 days or?
We were during the season. I was at Odenstock in Hatters, North Carolina, on a boat called the Gulfweed with Captain Ivy Batten, and uh, it was not a first string boat, but it was a second string boat probably, and everybody almost fished almost every day in those days. The price of a day's trip was $175. That's what a
Wow.
full day charter was. And I think I was paid 20 or $25. I can't remember. But anyway, it seemed like a lot of money at the time. But 20 was a big bill those days. Uh, so you're talking about money in those days. I found a receipt the other day while I was at Camp Lejeune. I had a what's called a Simmons sea skiff built. That was an 18-foot, one of the boats built in North Carolina with a well where the engine goes in a well. You've probably
Oh
seen
yeah.
Simmons sea skiff. They're well-known boats, and I was looking through something. I don't know if I was or Terry was, and found this bill. And in 19, I think the date was 1970 or 71. I had an 18-foot Simmons sea skiff built with a trailer and a 40 horse Evinrude outboard, and the total bill on that thing was 1,800 and some dollars. Isn't that
Wow.
unbelievable? Isn't that was a boat fit to go in the ocean, and I did fish that thing up to 20 miles offshore, probably shouldn't have, but without a buddy boat or something.
That's another
But
story.
but I did, and to have a boat, motor, and trailer, brand new, not used, $1,800. Isn't
Wow.
that incredible? Anyway, I hate to
Wow.
digress like
No,
that,
no,
but
no, 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 no.
we do.
I honestly, no, I love that. You reminded me of a story. My boss, Jim Lambert, when he went fishing out of Ocean City, Maryland, he was a young boy. He was 14, 15 with his dad. And they went, however far they went offshore. And as they were coming in, There was no GPS. There was no Loran. They went right to shore and then they figured out where they were, bought more fuel, and then went right back up to Ocean
Oh my
City.
God, they were so far off they had to buy fuel to get back to Ocean City.
Yeah. And it was like a 24-foot boat. They
Oh
had
my
no
God, yeah.
business going
No,
offshore.
that's of course they probably weren't going any further than the jack spot in those days,
Probably,
out there
yeah.
about 20 miles or so. But
Yeah.
there's a funny story about Ocean City too. Before I forget, which one of Bob Herder, which to me you probably know Bob from
Yeah.
fishing. He was one of what I call one of the golden oldies, of which Ocean City produced more than its share. That town has
Ooh.
put out a lot of fishermen, both from the crew point of view and from the angler point of view, far beyond its size and proportion to fishing. But Bob Herder was a smart old guy, and he said years ago we would come down to the dock, get on a boat, 10 knot boat, and we would run 3 hours and we would start fishing. 20 years later, we would come down to the dock, we would get on a 20 knot boat, we would run 3 hours, we would start fishing. And now we come down to the dock, the boats are capable of 30 knots. We run 3 hours. We go fishing. That's about the
The
truth.
3 hours hasn't changed. Oh my God, that's
Thought that
hilarious.
was a wise observation. And once again, that's off subject, but I thought it.
No,
I
no, listen,
but I thought Bob, that's a pretty wise observation, actually.
listen, again, the purpose of doing this is to tell the stories that built this industry. There's so many little things that we come across in our history that have built who we are. They build the stories that we tell, and the moments that we enjoy. Listen, like me again. I'm sitting here and I feel like I'm 16 years old again, and I get to listen to these stories. These were stories before my time. So I'm happy you're sharing them with me, and the fact that you're sharing them with all the listeners. Some of these kids nowadays don't know what it's like to go out without GPS or without a cell phone, a camera. My first 20 years of my career, I don't think I have a single picture of anything I did.
I don't have any pictures. I never took pictures, and it's a mistake. I had to recommend to young people. Well, you don't tell young people today.
Yeah,
I would say that with today's phone cameras, that each year of mankind's existence, that more photos are taken in 1 year's time than were previously taken by all of mankind through its entire history. I
I can
really,
believe that.
I really believe that would be a true statement, probably.
I, 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 I not only do I agree with you, I 100% believe it. It's funny because when I first started in my business, I literally had my phone out for everything. And now I purposely don't pull it out except for I want to make sure I capture one moment that I'm doing something. Just one. I don't need 100 of them. I just need one. I'm here today. I'm doing this. Whatever captures that moment, and then the rest, I want to remember it with my own eyes. So yeah, no, no, you're 100% correct. So no,
I
I'm
wish we had more pictures of the old days, but we didn't. I used to poo-poo taking the picture. I like, we ain't got time to do that, but I was wrong. You need to take time to do that. And
I
now it's so easy that there's no reason not to.
yeah. Actually, I we saw a picture. Pirates Cove posted a picture of you and Captain Bull Tolson the other day.
Yes, sir. Yo, I saw that. I
That
saw.
what a great picture.
Oh, I love seeing the old stuff like that.
It's great. So, again, like you said, you wish you would have taken a few more.
Oh, I do. And I was by scoffing at the pictures, I was wrong. I was completely
Yeah.
wrong. It
Well,
but now when you find an old one like that, you so treasure it.
oh, when somebody shows me a picture, I'm like, oh, let me take a picture of your picture, so at least I have
Yep,
that remembrance.
that's exactly right.
And really, truth be told, and we had this conversation yesterday, that's kind of why I want to do this. Uh, so we can share these stories and take 2 hours of your time, hour and a half of your time. Let's tell some stories so that 15 years from now, 10 years from now, who knows, 200 years from now, Who are these old cats that are talking on this computer screen?
No,
You
it's
know?
good to have it. It's good to have it recorded, and now we have the capability of doing that with folks like you doing this, and it's a good thing.
No, it's if it wasn't for fishing, I would be a divorced teacher with 2.35 children. And what I mean by that, when I went to college to be, I wanted to be a high school guidance counselor is what I wanted to be. My high school guidance counselor was the greatest guy in the world, and I'm still in contact with him. I was talking to his son the other day. He really shaped my life a lot. I met him 2 weeks before I started high school. I was at the local spillway fishing for snook, and there was this guy and his son, and they caught this snook, and nobody could go down and grab the snook because his son was like 6 years old. And I'm like, hey, I'll go help you. I was whatever, 14 years old. I was going to be a freshman in high school, so I went and I grabbed the snook. I brought it up to them. They looked at it and then they, threw it away, released it, and hey man, thank you. Yeah, thank you. No big deal. 2 weeks later, I had a problem with my schedule and I walk into an office and who is it? It's that same guy.
How about that? Well, you've already got your foot in the door, so that's great.
Yeah. And literally, he kind of figuratively held my hand through my 4 years in school. And I'm like, that's who I want to be. That's who I want to
Fishing,
be.
fishing through the years unlocks a lot of doors for you because you'll end up getting the having the private phone number of some pretty important people sometimes that when you call, you just mention fishing and the secretary puts you right through, you know.
Oh, Chip, there
And
is
I'm sure you see a lot of that, what you've
I
done.
have a boat owner that we both know very well. I don't want to mention his name. I called up his office one time and I said, yeah, I'd like to speak with so and so. Oh, he's in a board meeting. I says, not a problem. I'm happy to leave a message. And I said, my phone number is yada, yada, yada. My name is Fly Navarro. And he goes, whoa, she goes, whoa, 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 hold on a second. He told me if Fly ever calls, interrupt whatever he is doing. I'm like, ma'am, it's a board meeting. No, this is what he's told me.
Okay.
I'll be right back. And if he decides he can't take your call, I'll let you know. Sure enough, he stopped his board meeting. It wasn't that important. It was,
If
we
there
were
was a board meeting in the first place.
actually good point. But
Maybe there's always a board meeting, you
yeah,
know.
yeah, no, good point. I never thought of it like that. But you're right. Fishing has opened up, and that's why I say if it wasn't for fishing, I would be a divorce. I would just be average, which there's nothing wrong with that. But this sport has opened up so many doors for me. And and I'm assuming it's done for you as well.
It has, and that's why I brought that point up. That
Yeah, and I'm a firm believer, and I've said it on this podcast once, and I'll say it 100 times because I say it in my everyday life that there's a verse in the Bible that says when you get to a level, it is our responsibility to reach back and help those behind us. And I live my life like that. I live like my life like that. I want people to know, if I can help make it easier for you today because of something I did yesterday, I'm happy to do it. And like you said, when you look at your mates that are great captains, you were able to reach behind and help those guys up, and now they're so successful.
well, we were a part of that, and that
Yeah,
you take great pride in that, you know.
yeah, I mean,
And I don't know what you're talking about. That Omi Tillett always said, Captain Omi Tillett from North Carolina, who I'm sure anybody here listening knows who I'm talking about. He always said it is much more of a blessing to be on the giving end than the receiving end, and he's right.
amen, 100%.
Yep.
It's I heard it one time put the the greatest selfish act you can do is helping somebody else, and they say, why is that selfish? Because it makes you feel so good.
Makes you feel so good. Sometimes I think that when you're able to help somebody, that you get more satisfaction out of it than the person receiving. Absolutely.
That is so true. That is so true, and uh, that's why I enjoy doing the things that I do because I'm trying to open the door for somebody else. And like you said, you're always looking for your replacement. You're always looking for who's that next kid that's coming
Who's
along,
right?
that I can open the door for. My first time I had a little mentee, he was 14. He's now, I think he's like 38, 38 or 40, something like that. And it's like, wow. Uh, Listen, Newt was one of those, I remember him at 14. And he wasn't as talkative as some of the young other guys. There was a group of these kids that I'm sure they're a little younger than me. On Father's Day, they'd always text me, "Happy Father's Day, Fly." I'm like, I don't know if that's a good thing or a bad thing.
Yeah.
So that
I
first
tell you,
year,
later, Newt was part of the South Carolina for many years was sort of not anywhere near the mainstream of sport fishing, but South Carolina has come forward and it is producing some great people.
unbelievable. And you're right, it was kind of because it was a
Because the
stopover.
boats were slow and it was a long ways there. You know what? There
Yeah,
was no reason to have to go that far. So you
exactly.
could go to North Carolina or you could go to Florida. Georgia and South Carolina were just tucked in too far. But but boy, that's not the truth anymore. That South Carolina has got a lot of great up and coming fishermen and having arrived fishermen too.
Yeah.
Charleston may be the new Ocean City for producing people.
Wow. Let me tell you, Ocean City has produced
It
some
has. It has.
stellar, stellar fish. And as you start going along and you just run into people and they're just your friends. Because nowadays it's not like it was before. Hey, I'm from North Carolina, or I'm from here, I'm from there. Now we bounce around so many places internationally. You start talking to somebody, it's like, man, where'd you grow up from? And I don't think you get past three without hearing Ocean City.
No, you hear Ocean City, you hear South Carolina's coming to the forefront, and the Gulf Coast too.
Ooh,
Absolutely.
the Gulf Coast has come on strong
Yeah.
in the last few years. Well, shoot, all those years in Mexico, they've always had a strong Texas
Yeah.
contingency down in Mexico.
Yep.
I
But you didn't
always
hear much about their offshore, the Poco Bueno. You heard about that, but other than that, you didn't hear much. But now we realize the fishing that the Gulf offers.
they
You know.
have great fishing,
Yep.
great fishing, and then Chris caught that grander a couple years back in October.
Mhm.
Just beginning in the middle of hunting season, when
Yeah.
nobody goes fishing in the Gulf.
They're not going to go. They're not going to go. They're going to stay in the blind. They're not going to get
The only time they leave the blind is to watch an SEC football game. That is it.
okay.
That is it. There's
Yeah.
football and there's hunting. But
Yeah.
they went fishing and they caught that grander, and it was like, oh my gosh, how cool is this?
Yep. Yep.
It's so cool. But so that first year you were on that boat, how long before you were introduced to your first blue marlin?
It wouldn't have been long into it. We were using squid. I think the first one I ever saw came to a squid, and I do not. I swear I can't remember if we hooked him or not. I'm embarrassed to admit. We killed every one we caught. We didn't catch very many, uh, but it was an impressive animal. I remember thinking that, and I don't remember if we got him or not. To be perfectly honest, which is a lame thing
It's
to
not lame
admit.
at all. It's
It
no,
is. It
no.
is. But they were when they came after that squid, you saw them pretty well too,
Oh,
because they were one of the worst things about the squid as a primary bait was that a fish coming at it, his bow wave would push the thing out of the way and he'd miss it. So a lot of times you'd have two or three passes at it before he would get the thing, and it was it, they were impressive animals, and from the start to finish, I'm still impressed by them. Nothing has the maneuverability and the speed that they have. Nothing else that we deal with that I know of.
no. It's
And
amazing to watch an 800-pound fish turn in its own circle.
their agility, their maneuverability is unsurpassed, really.
they never cease to amaze me, to be honest with you. After all these years, there's always something that you see. It's like, did you see that?
Yeah.
That was cool. And that's a big fish.
Yeah.
That's a big fish. No, no, it's one of those wonderful, wonderful things. Um, how many years running the deck on these boats before you decided I want to go upstairs and try it out?
Embarrassingly short.
Okay.
Uh, I fished a summer. I fished a summer with Captain Ivy, and during that time, I met Emery Dillon of the Early Bird, and he and I struck it off good. So I worked for him the next spring. I came to that summer. I came to that was fall. I came to Florida. I worked in Pompano Beach actually on a boat called the Delu 3.
Okay.
Captain Lou Klopstein, who all the boys from Hillsboro, a lot of the guys, the Sharp Hillsboro guys, also
Yeah.
worked for him. And my dock partner was J.J. Whitmer on the Miss Jean 7, a legend,
Wow.
a real legend. And he had a mate whose name I cannot remember. His boy, I remember the boy was diabetic, and he was from the Gulf Coast, and he would work every winter with the on the Miss Jean with John Whitmer. And my God, he taught me so much about baits and all. He was I don't know what became of him. Gosh, I wish I could remember his name, but he would, wore the white uniform and all that they would have changed, had Miss Jean on it and whatnot. But he was super, super helpful to me and taught me a lot about baits, really helpful. So I went back to Hatteras and went to work with Emery uh, for the summer, I guess, of '74. And that fall, I was just going to continue with Emery, but that fall, Monty Howe had bought Sonny Briggs's Sea Fever. Sonny Briggs, well known boat builder now, but he was also a very good captain, good charter boat captain in the early '70s. And Monty had bought that to have as a charter boat in Florida and in Hatteras. And he had a boy that had been mating, I forget for who, but he had hired him to be the captain of that boat. And unfortunately, the boy was killed in a tractor accident that fall, like cleaning up a field, and the tractor had fallen in a ditch and killed him.
Oh,
And Monty approached me and said, "Chip, would you be interested in running our boat?" And I already had my license. I had gotten my license actually in '72 while still in the service. I'd had enough, typical thing of enough time running rowboats across lakes and shit to count it as time, on the water and all that. In those days, there were no schools you go to that, in mass, you went and got your license. You went by yourself. I went down to Wilmington, North Carolina, and got mine in '72 was my initial license. So I had a license. And anyway, I accepted that, and that began the Temptress. Monty had named the boat the Temptress, and that began the Temptress deal. I ran that boat for him from '74 until '78 or '9, when he sold it to me for exactly what he had in it, and
wow.
we put a new engine in it, and that was the beginning of the Temptress.
Now, what made you decide that you wanted to go from boat captain to boat owner and charter owner?
Because I wanted to get into Oregon Inlet Fishing Center. I was at Hatteras and I was going to Oregon Inlet a lot to fish with different groups, but I wanted to become a member there. And in those days, this would have been 1978, I believe. In those days, you had to own your own boat to get in there. Now, there may have been some twisting and turning where people maneuvered their way in there, but I bought the boat to get membership in Oregon Inlet, which we did achieve when we bought the boat.
Oh, wow. I never knew that about Oregon Inlet.
I don't know when they got away from that actually. it became a necessary thing because eventually nobody on their own could afford what it takes to go fishing. But in those days, you could. The boat that the original Temptress, Sonny Briggs put it in the water, fishable for $22,000. That was built by Sheldon Midget in 1971.
Wow.
She was document number 533227, I believe, if I remember correctly. and she's
Dude,
and she's still fishing in North Carolina out of Oregon Inlet as the Miss Nell, Terry. Miss Nell. It's been sold since then, so it's under even another name now.
wow. Wow.
But still
Listen, don't
built by
give.
Sheldon Midget, 1971. That's Paul Spencer's father-in-law is Sheldon
Oh,
Midget,
okay.
where Paul learned a lot of his early boat building skills from his father-in-law, Sheldon Midget, a name that should be better known than it is.
And again, that's why we're talking, because I want more people to remember the names.
But these
Uh,
boats are carrying on. It was not fiberglass, nothing. It's still serving today. It's been glassed, I'm sure, and all that, repowered, but still going fishing, built in 1971.
wow. That is amazing. Now, you got into Oregon Inlet, and which, for people that are not familiar, Oregon Inlet is kind of the epicenter of offshore fishing in North Carolina.
It is. It is. I take pride in it. And that's, of course, it's located in the center of boat build. Well, I would say the center of boat building in North Carolina.
100%.
Not to take away from Jarrett Bay down there in Morehead City. They are in their own right are super good as well. But and boats were always built on Harker's Island. There were probably more sport fishing boats built on Harker's Island than Dare County in the very early days before the 70s. But it's when you say where did you start fishing? When you say Oregon Inlet, Hatterson Oregon Inlet, I don't think there's any better credentials really around.
No, in our industry, and again, I'm not trying to get political, but that's kind of like Harvard and Yale.
Yeah, I
It,
agree, and it is, and I'm very proud to say that that's where my credentials lie.
it's phenomenal credentials. It really is. And anybody that's come out of there, and it's more than just one type of fishing because you have to do so much
It's so
different
versatile,
things.
and there's one made.
That's it.
Yeah, one made, one
Yeah,
made. I'm almost embarrassed when I tell people I have three mates after coming from that.
don't
Of
be
course, the boats are a
embarrassed.
little more intensive to care, but
Oh,
speaking about Oregon Inlet and the credentials and all, that I'm sure you've read it, but I want to give it a little plug. Charles Perry has written a book. I think it's called Bigger Fish, Faster Boats," and it's a super good story of the history of sport fishing at Oregon Inlet. Super good book, and
I have a copy.
he's and he quoted me a time or two, and I want to thank Charles so much because he put my feelings about Dare County and the fishing there, uh, and he probably expressed it better than I could myself.
Speaking of Dare County, I got a phone call from the assistant superintendent of Dare County. They wanted to start a boat building class. And it just so happens that the assistant superintendent is married to my best friend's brother. So
Mhm.
that's the only person she knew how to reach out to. So when I had a meeting with her and the superintendent, he he grew up with Charles Perry. I'm like, why are you calling me? You got Charles to talk to,
You got
man.
CP, right? Yeah.
You got CP. So I believe they started their first program with John Bayless. With
Yes, I'm
John
sure
Bayless.
John.
Yeah. So
Which incidentally, they had a good day yesterday in the in Samantha's Pescadora tournament.
oh, what did they do? I didn't even look online.
They were first place boat yesterday, and of course today's the second day of the tournament. I believe they had 25 fish, with the girls hooking their own fish, and that
That's
gave some
awesome.
extra points. And but they won the daily yesterday. The Tar Heel did in the Pescador.
Congratulations. They have Jack running the boat now, don't they?
No, they had Jack works on the boat with them, I
Oh,
believe, but the I don't know who was there completely, but John's son, John Jr., was the captain of record
okay.
on the statistics there. So,
Okay. Yeah, I know Jack because him and I've been working pretty hard on this shark problem that we're having in the North
oh
Atlantic.
my God, yes, oof.
So Jack and I have been on numerous phone calls, and I've been asked to do some stuff. And I called John. I called Jack to sit with me on a call with the administration to talk about it. So, but that's a whole nother topic, and
Sure.
um, people are going to hear about that soon enough. So, um, yeah. So, John, listen, what John's been doing up in Manio and Wanchese has been incredible. Actually, not just him, everybody up there, every
No,
boat that
although
comes.
there's a core group that you're just terrific what they've done with boats.
Yeah, it truly is, and it truly comes from uh, growing up in that area.
Growing up fishing, they've all
Yeah,
grown up fishing.
exactly.
Or around fishermen. Very few that haven't had a fishing job, but of those that haven't, they've certainly sat at the dinner table with a lot of fishermen and talked to
Amen to
them.
that. Amen to that. Yeah, no, it's a special place, and I love going up there, and I always gotta call CP, and if I ever fly up there and I don't call him, and he finds out, like that one time I went up to speak with the superintendent. I went up for one night and one night only. I flew in, had a meeting, ate dinner, and drove right back out. And he got wind of it. And he's like, how come you were in Dare County? And I'm like, Charles, I was there for maybe 8 hours, maybe. And he goes, I don't care. Come, you spend the night at my house. It'll never happen again, Charles. It'll never happen again. So no,
I,
he's amazing.
he is amazing. He's my close neighbor. In fact, he checks on my house. He was the one who went over and dripped my faucets during this latest terrible freeze that we had up there. But I owe a huge debt to Dare County. I came not knowing not knowing anyone in Dare County as a stranger. Drove into town, got a fishing job, and every step of the way, the people of Dare County couldn't have been kinder to me or more accepted. And people say, "Oh, that's a coastal community. They're very clannish. They won't accept you." I didn't find that to be the case at all. You
Mm.
showed enthusiasm for fishing. They showed enthusiasm for you. You know,
They're a mirror. However you treat them, they will treat you back. If
right?
you treat them well, they will accept you as one of their own.
Yep. I feel
Anytime.
I'm. I feel I'm home when I'm in Dare County now. We still have a home in Dare County up out west of the Wright Memorial in Collington Harbor, and we spent some time there. I like it in the fall and in the spring up there when we have a chance.
So that's when you get a chance to go up there is in the fall and the spring.
When I do have a chance, I don't have a chance too often. My kids, the kids that live in Florida, Julia and Jared, the day that school's out in Fort Lauderdale, they're up there for all of the summer. They go right up there and use that house, which is great.
Oh, that's awesome.
And
That's
our other brood live in North Carolina now, in Western North Carolina. So we get a lot of reasons to go to North Carolina.
well, you might as well.
Oh
It's
yeah, yeah, I love it. I love it up there.
it's
Now, summertime, not for me. If I'm not fishing, if I'm not offshore, I'd rather avoid the traffic that they have running around there all day long. You know,
I can agree with you on that. I could, even though the heat in Fort Pierce is not the greatest, you at least you don't have traffic.
no, we don't have traffic in the summer, and we used to have great snook and tarpon fishing, but with the sargassum weed and some for some reason the we don't have the bait anymore. That's we've had 3 or 4 years of almost no surf fishing here for the snook that we used to.
Really?
Yeah, it's been tough. And like I say, when there are some fish, the grass is so bad you can't keep a bait in the water. The sargassum. Hopefully that's letting up a little bit. Maybe I don't know, but I'd like to see the. before I go, I'd like to see the surf fishing one more time, like it used to be for fly fishing in the surf, which was great here. Which was
Listen, tarpon or snook fishing on the surf with
oh, it's
fly, it
to have
doesn't get any
100-pound
better.
fish around your feet and you're standing on the beach. No boat can screw you. The only thing that has to work is your truck so you can get to the beach. I love that.
It's one of my fondest memories growing up here in South Florida is our snook fishing.
Uh-huh.
It's what I grew up doing, and my high school to the spillway was less than a mile,
Uh,
so it wasn't just a bike ride. And then from my house to the spillway was just under 2.5 miles. I could put the tackle box down my shirt, rod in my hand, and bike all the way there. And during the summer, it's all catch and release anyway. So I'd
and it
come
was
home.
quite a mixed cross section of society there doing that fishing too. It was beggar men, thieves, rich men, all rubbing shoulders,
You didn't
brought together by the snook.
exactly. Well, listen, look at what we do now. Even especially in today's world, you have deckhands that maybe don't have very much but a duffel bag and
Yep.
work your way up to captain. And then next thing you know, you have bosses and we get to call them and interrupt board meetings.
Yep, that's right. That's right.
So when you were running out of Oregon Inlet, at what point did you decide to do some international traveling? What
Well,
made you decide, okay, let me try this?
Monty, when I took the job, Monty had already decided he wanted a boat in Florida in the winter. So we came to Stewart and we fished in Stewart until the winter of 1976. So we spent 2 years tied up in Stewart. And Monty said, let's, I don't know, in Stewart, it just didn't seem we were getting very far in charters there. And Monty suggested we move up to Fort Pierce. And we moved up there probably Christmas week of 76. I got a slip at the old Simonson's restaurant, which had been changed to the Harbor House restaurant at that time. We got a dock there and moved up there, and that was the best move we ever made. We got new fresh fishing grounds that were not being exploited much at all. Uh, was a little less union. I think I rubbed some people the wrong way. Maybe I fished too late during the day and too long and stuff like that sometimes. Not everyone. I'm not talking about everyone, but anyway, I was well received in Fort Pierce. My dock partner was Sam Crutchfield on the Lucky Two.
Okay.
He had a 30-foot T craft, and here I come in with this 42-foot North Carolina boat, which was big for 1976, and and Sam had every reason in the world to say, "Who the hell is this son of a bitch?" But Sam couldn't have been more receiving and helpful. He clued me in on Florida fishing and especially Florida hunting, and we've become great friends and are friends till this day. Sam Crutchfield, lucky too,
Okay.
and he,
Yes.
like I say, he could have certainly uh, certainly said, "Who the hell is this upstart?" But he didn't. We became good friends almost instantly.
That's so awesome to hear. That is so awesome to hear. So you were able to establish out of Fort Pierce and you ran the charter for a very long time out of Fort Pierce.
We did. I ran the charter until we ran charters out of Fort Pierce until I believe 2000 when I went private. Then.
Wow, has it been that long?
Hmm. Hmm.
Man, it goes by too fast. It goes
Time
by
goes
too.
fast.
Yeah,
Time goes
I
fast.
tell everybody, life is like a roll of toilet paper. The closer you get to the end, the faster it goes, man.
It does. I tell young folks that Christmas comes 3 times a year now. It seems like.
So
Just
once the
leave.
boat,
Just leave the lights up.
don't take them down. I went to recently. I went to somebody's house. I'm like, they still have the Christmas lights up. Now they have children, so I'm sure the kids like the lights. But
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, why take them down? Keep them up.
Yeah.
Keep them up. What was the first year you went down to Mexico?
The first year I went to Mexico fishing would have been when we had our new boat built, our Sheldon Mid, shit, our Bobby Sullivan boat built,
Okay.
and that was in I don't know if it would have been 1991 or 92. The boat was a 91, but I don't know if we had time to go that first year or not. We
Okay.
probably may not have. So at least by 92, and we went to Hacienda Del Mar with Jim Schwartz. You probably remember.
No, listen, that's where I met you was
Yeah.
at Jim Schwartz's
Jim
marina
built
at
us a
Haas.
little paradise there in
It, it was a
over on the Cancun side. It
it
was great.
was a great marina, and in today's world where everything is unbelievably fancy, uh, you felt like, listen, I'm in Mexico. There was the docks were great. That ironwood that they use is the hardest wood I've ever seen in my life.
Yep.
But it was a great marina. It was
It was a
phenomenal.
great marina. Jim and Linda and oh my God, who was the dock man? What, honey? Jim. Well, I knew Jim. I mentioned Jim and Linda, but oh God, what was the dock master's name? Now? Pedro, and all. They really put on the dog for us. It was great place and a great time.
There was, yeah, it was a great place. Fishing was phenomenal. And in the early years, you didn't have to run very far. It seemed like later on, you had to run like 20 or 30 miles to find fish. And uh, yeah, those first years, you just go right out front and catch as many sailfish as you wanted.
Well, it was a great fishery, and still is a great fishery.
Yeah, it just seems like it's gotten a little earlier. Am I
Well, that's because people started going a little earlier.
okay?
There was probably great fishing in January and February, but we never went until March. We had our season here that we had to attend to. So all that's changed. People found out that fishing was good earlier and earlier. So now people want to be there at January, and about the time that we would be going, they're coming back.
Yeah, it's listen, first of all, you don't have to deal with the crowds that you deal off of Florida now. I mean, everybody, and I'm not knocking it. I love to see more people in our industry, but you go off of Stewart or Jupiter on a weekend and there's 200 boats. There's
Yep.
200 boats. So it's nice when unless you're fishing tournaments or have a bunch of charter days, go down there and uh, catch a bunch of sailfish and eat a
Yeah.
lot of good food.
Yeah. And that that talking about that becoming part of the years, that's affected the Florida fishery too. It's and as you see in the Florida tournaments that used to have big participation, it's harder and harder now to get boats because the boats are not here that used to be here. South Florida used to be the place to be for the winter, and now you've got boats going to Mexico in December, and you've got a lot of boats that all their interest is over in the Pacific now, in Costa Rica, Los Sueños, that type of thing. So that's changed. That's been a big change in the annual the annual schedule of fishing.
Yeah, no, it's one of those things. If you want to plan a January sailfish tournament or February sailfish tournament, you need to look at the Los Sueños schedule. You don't want to overlap.
No, no. If you don't, you're going to have all your people down there serving in some capacity on a boat that's in Los Sueños. So,
Exactly. Whether you got an angler, an extra deckhand, a tower guy, a sonar guy, everybody goes down. And listen, I don't blame them. I mean, it's great weather, great fishing, flat calm. So no, I don't blame, but it's definitely changed in our fleet. While it's gotten bigger, it's become more spread out.
it has, and it's and a different type of boat is becoming more popular too. The open outboards with three outboards and things like that are super fast and do a great job live baiting. And I guess they troll okay, but I'm not so certain on that. I get various comments on that by people who have tried them. But certainly for the live bait scene, which would be Jupiter South, they do a great job. uh,
Yeah.
with multiple kites and that kind of thing. The Freeman type boats, the cat type boats and stuff. I haven't had experience with them. I think that I'm glad I went through my charter boat period in the time of cabin boats because I'm not sure that a lot of the customers I had would have been thrilled with open boats.
No,
No
not
matter
a
how fast we got there and got back.
there's something to be said about no matter how rough it is, as long as by the time you get out there, you're not completely soaking wet and beat up and
Yeah.
so no, you're absolutely correct. And I still think even for some kind of charter, a cabin boat is what you want. And for me, when you are trolling, even though I've trolled on center consoles and cat boats and I've been successful at them, it's not like running a convertible. It just opens up the space. It allows for the teamwork to work better, where people aren't stumbling over each other. It allows the captain to be able to call things out better. You can see things sooner. So it does it for me. There's a huge advantage.
Yeah, I would like I say, mine's just all the way I see it because I have no experience with them. But it looks like the trolling would be challenging. I know you fight your fish off the bow and stuff, and in some cases that's quicker and more efficient than what we do off the stern. But it's the lack of shelter for your people looks a
Ooh.
little bit scary to me.
What and I was very fortunate to be down there with you. And I'm not sure what if it happened before my time down there, but what was the year you decided to extend your trips from just Mexico into Venezuela?
Uh, I don't remember what exactly the catalyst we did. Obviously, the good reports of great fishing down there. Probably my mate Jimmy Grant probably he was certainly going to be a cheerleader for that. He thought we needed to go there, and we did. And what a fishery! And I'm so glad to see. We're not going to get political here again, but I'm so glad to see that the country of Venezuela is about to have an opportunity to come back to the greatness that they had in the 90s.
100%. I've had more than one about about half a dozen calls since January 3rd. Hey, what do you think? Can you help us? I'm like, listen, I loved it down there. And my time, I had the fortunate pleasure of working for Scott Steele and Billy Bohr down there and lived down there for 4 years. Loved the fishing, loved the people, and would love the opportunity to go back and help rebuild the fishery. For me, I people to this day, people always, oh, where's your favorite place to fish? I go, oh, there's no second. It's Venezuela, man. It's there. That has been it's like National Geographic's every day.
Like Jimmy Grant used to say, and it's true, we would be skunked at 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and he would say, "We're only 3 bites away from a grand slam." And once or twice it happens.
It's funny you say that because I remember one. There's something to be said of you need to enjoy what you have, and we have a tendency to compare, and we really shouldn't. You should be happy with what the good Lord gives you today. And I remember one time I had a grand slam. It was a slow day. I think it was October, November. And I think it was like a blue three whites and a sail. And I was complaining about the slow fishing. And I don't know if somebody said something to me, but at that point, I'm like, what am I doing complaining? This is horrible.
That's horrible to complain. That
It,
was a good hand, and you should have been happy with it.
oh, and I'm glad again, whether it was somebody that said something to me or maybe God just smacked me upside the head and said, "Hey, why are you complaining?" And at that point, I made sure I looked at it differently. And it's not just that day, even other days where we don't catch anything. Listen, I'm not in an office cubicle. I'm fishing. This is the love of my life, and I get to do it for a living. I get paid to do it. So I can't complain. So no, but that was Venezuela. Very, very, very few times did you get skunked. And listen, sometimes we were only counting the billfish, but how many other things did we encounter during the day between Dorados and tunas and wahoos and who knows what else we'd come across? Whale sharks offshore, manta ray. I mean, literally, it was like National Geographics
I
every
remember
day.
even a family of orcas that would hang down toward the power plant. That I
Yeah,
was amazed to find that they were in tropical waters, but there sure is a little family of them that was down there.
absolutely. I saw one probably that same pod. I saw one eat. This pod ate a leatherback turtle in front of us.
Wow.
It was the wildest thing you could ever imagine. They played with it for 20, 25 minutes. Every time it would try to flip over, they'd flip it back upside down and kept it up at the surface. And finally, one of the big ones came in and just bit it in half, and then they took their
Good
share.
grief.
And yeah, it was like I said, it was National Geographic's.
I say so. I
That was
say
National
so.
Geographic. So, how many seasons did you end up running down there?
Only one, only
Just
one.
just
90,
that one.
99, just one. I know.
Okay.
I think we received more notoriety over that one season than we deserve,
Oh,
probably, but just one season,
Again,
99.
I wasn't on your boat, but I think you guys caught 1,700 billfish that year between
Uh,
Mexico and there,
you go,
approximately.
I don't remember. Jimmy Grant, I've never kept any records, unfortunately, I
Okay.
guess, but Jimmy kept good records and he came up with a total that was, might not have been quite what that is. It might have been lower, in the lower, like a 13 something or something like that. I don't remember. Jimmy could tell you. But, but it was great fishing and we had a wonderful, wonderful season there.
Yeah,
And we were set to go back the next year, but then the landslides. Remember that
I
the whole infrastructure was destroyed there.
we were there when it happened. Well, our boat was there when it happened, and then we had to. Actually, in '99, it all fell down. We left, our boat went to Aruba, and then Billy, Randy Yates, and myself, we brought the boat back. I want to say it was like March of 2000, and then we fished in 2000. And there wasn't very many American boats then. There was maybe six or seven American boat. Paul Ivy was there, and actually, come to think of it, most of them were Puerto Rican boats.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, so it was, we were fortunate. We couldn't stay in Caraballera because of the mudslides. That town was completely wrecked, and we ended up moving into Puerto Viejo, which is down over by Puerto Viejo, which was more towards the power plant, which made it easier for running back home. You didn't have to get beat up so bad coming back
Yeah,
home.
yeah,
But yeah, that mudslide was horrible. It was really, really bad.
yeah. Bubba was there, and he was telling me about running his generator out of the swimming pool and stuff like that. It was just a tough time there.
Yeah, it was not a good thing. And Billy and I flew back in because we had all of our tackle in our apartment. So the boat was in Aruba and the tackle was in the apartment. So we flew back in to get it. And the roads were open, but there was about 10 to 12 feet of mud on the side of the roads and
Uh-huh.
down the middle. There was mud everywhere. The presidential palace, which was in between the airport and Caraballera, it was a three-story building. The only thing you could see was the flagpole.
Wow.
Yeah, it was crazy. It was
Anyway,
crazy.
we didn't get back in 2000, and then in 2001 I had the Nichols boat, the Liquidator, here in Florida with tanks on it, ready to take off to go. And by George, here comes 9/11, and obviously that canceled that. Everybody, all boats stopped moving for that to see what was going to happen in the
Yeah.
world, and never got. Of course, after that, things rapidly deteriorated as a result of Chavez, and never got back.
Well, if you would have asked me 3 months ago, I would have said, I hope we can see it someday. Now I feel there's a better chance now. Not
Oh yeah,
saying
I
it
think there's an
definitely will,
excellent
but
chance.
I think there's a great chance that it's gonna happen. which
I pray so, and we both have lots of Venezuelan friends, and they are so thankful.
they're
They're all happy.
unbelievably happy.
Yep, they're all happy. So let's hope things progress well for them.
Yeah, I really hope so. And I hope, here within the next couple, 3 years, 4 years, we get the opportunity to go down there and see it one last time.
Yes, sir.
It would be pretty impressive. So no, I'm glad I was down there when you were down there because that was a very great season. Actually, that season in particular, I have a picture in my living room that Richard Gibson took of us. We had an excellent day on Blue Marlin. I just remember specifically Blue Marlin, but uh, the sun was setting and Richard took a picture of us, and it's just the silhouette of the boat with the sun behind it and I have it in my living room. It's one of those special days. It was a great country.
It was a great country, and once again, a great dock. Portofino
Yeah.
was a wonderful spot, and
What it's
everybody was great.
unbelievable.
One thing I tell people that they find hard to believe is when you remember when you would come in, the boats would all be together, and you knew where your slip was and what mooring buoy was yours. So you backed up to the buoy, and your mate walked up the side of the boat. Then you backed up, and your wash would start to wash the boats apart a little bit. But you had to have somebody on both sides pushing at the boats to accordion them out so that you could fit back in your slip.
It was absolutely amazing. That was the first time I ever dealt with.
It was the only time I ever dealt with that, and it was
Yeah.
very different, very different.
I think Cozumel was like that, but I never fished a full season
I,
out of Cozumel.
nor did I, and it may have been that way.
Yeah, but Venezuela was the first time I had ever experienced that med mooring style.
Yep.
And it's like you have two boats touching and you have the mooring ball, and it's like, okay, that's your mooring ball, that's your slip. I'm like, what slip? It's like, oh no, no. You gotta get squeezed in there and start pushing them boats out. It
I
was
vividly remember
absolutely
that.
amazing. It
And you
was
didn't want to flub up picking up that mooring ball either. That could get you into a little bit of
oh,
trouble.
especially in that marina. That
Yep.
was Uh, I remember one time I saw some mullet in there. I'm like, oh, I'm gonna cast in some mullet for back then. We weren't running full dredges. We were running, one single arm, one bar of dredges. I had never in my life put up a mullet in a brine and have their bellies go bad so fast
Really.
because of all the whatever inside of them from that water.
Oh, the water, I will have to say, the water was of the worst quality of any I've ever encountered anywhere. The water that you were sitting in, the water
Oh,
inside, and the plastic in the water. I remember when I checked in over at the port in La Guara, there was like a long dock there that you tied up at. I made the mistake of leaving my motors running while I went in there. And when I got back, one of my motors had just so closed up with the plastic on the intake that it burned the impeller up and the motor overheated and cut itself off. It didn't
oh.
damage it. But man alive, I think in that La Guara harbor itself, you had about half plastic and half water in
Uh,
that.
I think you could walk across.
It was awful. It
There
was
was so
horrible.
much plastic, and every single one of those rivers had the amount of plastic, and when I'm talking rivers, we're not talking Nile River here. We're
No,
talking, just creeks that come down the mountain and
like little arroyo type things. Yes, yeah.
exactly, exactly. We had in Puerto Viejo, there was a little river on the outside of the breakwater, and Randy Yates used to call it hepatitis point because the amount of garbage that would come out of that river was horrendous.
It was awful. It was filthy.
But once you got about a half a mile offshore,
No, you were in Caribbean water then.
ooh, it was the most amazing sight you would see. It really is. The fishing you'd half off of there was truly incredible.
was, and the variety, the variety was incredible. Seeing all three fish in one circle, you know.
Yeah, more than one time you'd have all three fish in the spread at once.
Yep, it happened. It certainly did.
It's not, it's like, wait a second, wait a second, those are different fish.
Yep.
Yeah, that's a blue marlin, that's a sailfish. I,
I
I
hope
could, I
I
couldn't
hope
tell you how
folks
many
get
times.
I hope folks get to see it again.
I hope so too. After that, and you made it back home, what made you decide to get out of the charter business and go into private?
It just it seemed like it was time for a change. I'd made some good friends. The Nichols were become good for the Charles Nichols family, Ray Nichols family in Ocean City and all. And Bobby Gower told me that they were looking for somebody to run their offshore boat. Bobby wanted to get out of the offshore for them and get into the Bay B. If you remember him running the Bay B there, the little
Yeah.
headboat, and also I went ahead and made that change.
Nice. How long did you end up working for them?
Uh, worked for them until 9/11, and then they buy and sell boats rapidly. They're buying and selling is their business, and they got out of right after they didn't think they were going to use the moat much after 9/11. They put it up for sale. That was a Spencer that they I don't know if they'd had it built or bought it used. I suspect bought it used because they
They
dealt
took
in
them.
used stuff. That was their business. But anyway, and then the Black Sheep owned by Ed Frock. He uh, he needed a captain. He was at Pirates Cove, and I jumped on there and fished with him for about a year. We I carried some other people. Ed was not fishing particularly during that time. Then then Nick came along, and he had fallen in love with the fly fishing and decided that he wanted to. Are we still connected?
Absolutely. I can
Okay,
hear you
that's okay.
loud and
You
clear.
got to move occasionally, so I
Oh,
see
okay. Yeah.
that. Okay,
I'm so, again, I'm so enthralled listening to your
I don't
story,
want to
but
get so long. So long. Anyway, Nick had decided that he wanted to go for a expedition in the Pacific, fly fish, and see what he could catch. And he approached me. He knew that the black sheep was for sale. Ed was ready to sell it, and Ed Rock ended up selling Nick the boat for actually less money than he had been offered for the boat previously because I was going to go with the boat. That was very, very kind of Ed to do that.
wow.
To do that for me. So the Black Sheep, which was a 57-foot Spencer, was uh, was our first boat while the Bayless was being built. So from 2002 until 2005, we fished the 57-foot Spencer, which was old reliable, but and it served us very, very well. It was a terrific boat and remains a terrific boat. I think I don't know what name it's fishing under now, but it was a good one. That's the boat we first took to the Pacific, and that would have been December of 2002 when we first tied up in Los Sueños.
Okay. And you based out of Los Sueños for a while?
We did.
You did you guys ended up moving to Capos at some point, didn't you?
We did. We moved to Capos. Gosh, I can't remember. Terry, do you remember about when we would have done that? Maybe 2013, something like that. Probably around 2013. What happened was Los Sueños. It sort of became a prerequisite that you owned property there, or you bought a condo or a house. And Nick wasn't interested in that, so we moved to Capos, which I love being in Capos. Obviously I don't like being an hour further away from the airport, but other than that, we found a nice home in Capos.
The Capos is a beautiful spot, and a lot of times when you're doing the fad fishing, it's a little bit closer to the fishing.
Yes, yes, it can be to some of them, to the more eastern ones.
So in that time, you had switched from the Spencer into the Bayless. You built, how big is the Bayless now? 72?
Well, that's the second Bayless. The first Bayless was 64.
Oh, okay. So you guys have built two boats then.
Nick has built two boats with John. Yes, sir. A
Wow.
64, which was finished in 2005, and a 72, which was launched in 2021.
Oh, wow. And how big is the second one?
72.
Wow. Okay. All right. That's where I made the mess. That's where I made the mistake. I didn't know there was two. Maybe I did know. I didn't remember.
It's easy to not remember, and let's face it, we're in a we're there. There's a forest of that size boat out there now.
Whoa.
You know,
Well,
it's,
it's listen, the file cabinet's getting full. You got to throw something out to put something in. So
yeah,
sometimes they
it's
stick
right.
together.
Yeah.
Sometimes they stick together. So uh and then you guys started going up to Mag Bay and
Well, we
going to
so
college.
that was part of Nick's original plan. He chartered up there the very first year that I went to work for him. Our boat, we were working on our boat in Riviera Beach, the Spencer, getting it up to snuff for him. And he went out there and fished with Gary Graham
Okay.
in uh, in in
Cabo.
Mag Bay, and he loved it. But he knew before that he had it planned, and we've gone up there every year since then. We missed 2 years, I believe. We missed 1 year due to some mechanical problems that got us real late, and then the year that Hurricane Odile struck, we had not left yet, and when I talked to the marina, they didn't need any other boats than what they had there with the way the marina was torn up from Odile, so we didn't go that year.
Mm, that's understandable. Listen,
Oh yeah, that was
we
very understandable.
yeah, when it comes to hurricanes and aftermaths. I'd like to talk a little bit about your fad fishing off of Costa Rica first before we talk about Mag Bay. Um, because first of all, this fad fish, and I'm calling it fad fishing, but this offshore blue marlin bite that's been very prolific over the last, I guess it's been 11 years now, 12 years.
We first heard about it, I think, in 2012, and maybe participated in 2013.
Okay. Okay. Yeah, it's been unbelievable. I've done a few trips out there. I've had a couple people call me up. I love doing it with people. I've never caught a blue marlin before. Where should I go? You need to go do a fad trip in Costa Rica.
Yeah, it's probably the most sure method. Yeah, I would think.
Yeah, well, between shore and halfway decent weather. I hate sending somebody to the Dominican Republic or something like that. I'm not saying that the fads are flat calm all the time, but all in all, you can get some halfway decent weather and not get completely shellacked like you do in the Caribbean.
The Caribbean is. I find the Pacific is a better old man's ocean
Amen
by and
to
large.
that. Amen to that. What when you first started going out there, or were you doing just quick overnight trips, or were you putting in full long days?
I don't think we've ever done anything that we did less than our typical fad trips have been 3 day. We leave. Nick arrives. We leave the evening of the first day. We travel all night and we fish. We fish 3 days and then we come home the night of the last day we fish.
Okay.
That's pretty typical of what we do in all the fishing we do.
Even in Mag Bay?
In Mag Bay, we do five usually, 5 days, and
Oh,
then
okay. Is that mainly because of fuel or just comfort?
uh, endurance probably not nothing to do with fuel. We could stretch it with fuel if I don't have to make many moves. Uh, but it's a little bit well, they're not that much longer because the fish have been on the southern end in Mag Bay here recently. You talk about Mag Bay and all that, but anyway, it seems to work out well that way. It
No,
seems like
and you have plenty of hands on deck to
oh, we do
help you.
that. We do that. And we're getting older too. We're not the youngest group out there, now. Although Nick doesn't like me to say anything about age.
Oh, listen, I commend him. Listen, I commend both of you. I think it's awesome. I think it's awesome. It gives me something to look forward to. Not that it's that hard or I feel that old, but it's nice to see that you're still out there going after them.
Yep, it's good to still be there.
No, that's great. And you just finished up a trip lately,
We
and
yeah, we did.
and explain to me because or explain to everybody what the actual season is for Mag Bay. And you guys kind of like to try to push it just a little bit more. Uh, Primarily, it used to be just October, but now you guys have stretched that out quite a bit.
Well, I think it was always October, November. I think November always was considered a good month by the early Californians that fished there too. Uh, Seems like fish will show up from the third or fourth week of September and will be strong in October, pretty strong in November, and some years spill over into December. Some years, eh, November. We had a decent trip here, 2 weeks ago in February. So right now the reports I'm getting are a little bit slower. We're waiting right now to see if we need to do another trip before we head for Costa Rica, because obviously the fad fishing, or the seamount fishing, I guess we'll call it now, is going to be a little bit. I don't see that ever start much before May, although there's some outbreaks in the winter sometimes. But in the spring, May would be the first that typically gets going. But and
Your jog down the coast there from Cabo all the way to Capos. How do you normally do it? Do you chug the whole way, or what's your best?
nobody has the patience to travel with us. Boats have tried, but very few can do it. I fill her up in if I'm going south. I fill her up in Cabo, and I go to Chiapas,
Okay.
and that's, I think, 1163 nautical miles, and we refuel and check out of Mexico in Chiapas, and then we have another 650 or so miles to Costa
That's
Rica.
that's not too bad.
No, it's 200 hours underway.
Yeah. And even Eddie couldn't deal with that. Me and Eddie, we traveled everywhere at 10 knots.
Eddie and I we just never overlapped
Okay.
that we were traveling at the same time. Eddie could probably stand it. Yeah, he could
Yeah,
probably.
no, listen, there was many a trips. It's like, Ed, the weather's so great. He goes, yeah, but it's easier on the boat. Just 10 knot it.
He's right. It's
It,
easy. It's
it,
easy. We usually 10. We don't usually achieve 10. Nine is our best displacement speed.
okay.
8.5 to 9. 10, most boats, you'll find your fuel burn jumps up but a lot between 9 and 10 knots as the boat's starting to try to lift itself some.
Yeah, and to reframe that, I always called it 10 knots, but you're
But
right.
it's nine. It was nine.
It was probably 9
You were
3.
looking at a lot more nines, or even eight if the current wasn't particularly favorable. When you saw 10, when you look down there and see 10, you've got a favorable current.
Or you got a down sea slide. We left the canal one time. We went from uh Cologne to Cozumel, and it was so rough. But luckily, it was on
It was
all
with you.
on.
It was with
It
you, though.
was with us, and I think I saw 12 a couple times.
That was in a down sea
Yeah, that
surge,
was
though, right?
sliding, going wee.
Followed by an eight when you got hung up on the back of the next sea.
Exactly. I spend so many miles uh doing that speed or that. And how many miles have you gone backwards? Because you're just looking back at the spread and you're just going forward.
Yeah, yeah.
It's
No, but
just
that traveling provides a lot of thinking time, contemplative time, really, because
it
you
it
cut your
re
brain at night, you're just glued to the light bar out there in front of you, and the and the infrared screen. More the light bar for me. I have more faith in that. Depending on a white bird to be sitting on anything that's out there ahead of you, that really shines back good, shows.
Yeah. Do you have you're speaking about that and you're looking at your screen, but do you have infrared now?
We have FLIR. But I have a lot more faith in looking at that real scene out there in front of me in the light bar and spotlight than I do the FLIR. Uh, it's going to show me a skiff or people or something like that, but I'm not real confident of it showing me a log there that's not much color. I depend on like I say, most places we travel, if it's anything of any size, some bird is taking a nap on it, doing some sleeping on it or something, and they show up good. So
Yeah,
that's
listen,
why I like the
I
birds.
I don't blame you at all. I agree with you 100% on that. It's a good tool to have, but I like to look forward.
It's a good tool. It's going to show you some panga or something out there ahead of you, but hopefully the light bar would show you the same thing.
Yeah, you like you said, usually something will shine back at you,
Yeah, I'm
especially
a
if
big
it's a
fan of the
panda.
light bar. I recommend that on any boat.
When you're traveling, is it just you and your three deckhands?
It is.
Okay, so just with the four of you, that's enough.
It's always been enough. Yes,
Okay.
sir.
Yeah, yeah, no, no, I was just curious. I know we used to, because of the very longer, we'd add two more, uh, and we'd with that we'd always do 4 hours on and 8 hours off.
Uh huh.
So and it worked great. I mean, we there was plenty of times we went like Long Island right to the canal, which I believe was a 980.
Could be. That's
Yeah, it's something like that. And like Bermuda was nothing. It was
it's a
880.
five. Okay, that y'all are coming from the south. North
Yeah.
Carolina, it's like a 560, I think, from North
Okay, yeah.
Carolina.
We would go from Bermuda to St. Thomas. It was 880.
But that's every bit of it. Yeah.
Yeah, there was, and then when we jump from the East Coast, we'd go from Boat Harbor, and I want to say it was just under eight. It was like 790 something.
Sounds close. What
Y-
is
Yeah,
I'm all
yeah,
here on the map would be.
yeah. It was one of those things. That's why I asked because Eddie was. We were notorious for 10 nodding at every again 10 nodding it. Whatever in gear was. That's what we would do.
Now that's pretty much what you're going to have to do to have enough fuel to get there in that
Yeah.
distance, with not not many fuel stops in the interim there on those trips. That particular trip.
Oh my gosh, there's no fuel stops. If there was only a 7-Eleven along the way.
I know.
Just I did one time we were going from St. Thomas to Bermuda and we had a mark and it was I'm like, what is this? And as you get closer, you realize it was a light and it was a boat. And it was on the same track. They were coming from St. John and going to Bermuda and then going to the East Coast. And I don't know, it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. And I called him just because I wanted somebody
Sure.
I wanted somebody to talk to beside I
Yeah.
had Skinny Al. I had Al with oh my God, George Ellison. Skinny Al would always make the trips with us. And I'd always by that time, George I think he was 72 or 73, and I'd always tease with Eddie. Eddie, if Al's not going, I'm not going. Because he always had the greatest stories. Very similar to our conversation. He would tell me stories about the 70s and the 80s. You know, that one generation right before I started. I started in 93. So it's kind of nice to hear those stories to say, oh, now I understand why everybody was doing what they were doing in 93 and 94. And Skinny Al was always had the greatest stories. And I loved it. I loved it.
Yeah, there are a lot of good ones. A lot of good
So, Chip, is there anything else that we may have missed that you'd like to add? First of all, I have to say thank you, but is there anything that you think we've missed that you'd like to add uh,
Well,
about?
you were talking about my mates, which I'm happy to do, but we probably got so much to cover there that would probably be better a choice of another
Listen,
session.
here's the thing. I would love for you to go through the laundry list, but, and this is my giant but, You had said something yesterday. You would feel bad if you forgot somebody. And I don't want to, I don't, listen, when you start naming people that fished with you, I don't want you to feel any kind of pressure about it. I mean, we know Jimmy Grant fished for you, which was, listen, he may be one of the best out there to this day. To this day.
He's certainly Venezuela's chief cheerleader. I'll guarantee
Oh,
you that. For that, he hung on there long after others had given it up.
oh my gosh, he was posting all kinds of stuff, and I'm like, hey man, you're a guest in that country. I wouldn't be posting that stuff online.
Oh, hold on. Oh. Do you want me to list the guys that have worked for me, or do you want to save that for another go
We can,
round?
man, I don't listen. I mean, if there's anybody that you want to, I know a couple of the guys. I remember you had Big Wave Dave working for you, and you had Mike Everly. Those are the ones that I came across in my days. But no, I don't. My biggest thing is I wanted to hear your story of how you got started. Oh, did Miss Terry give you the list already?
I have a list here of
Oh,
half-ass put
yeah.
together.
If you got a list, let's give them all credit, and maybe I can follow it up by inviting them to join me.
Okay, well, when I first got to Florida, there first running a boat in Stewart, I had Hayes Hipson and Kerry Harrington fishing with me off and on. Hayes
Wow.
was the son of a prominent Stewart dentist and was quite a colorful character and became far more colorful after he after he didn't work for me. He commercial fished on a small boat there. I don't think Hayes is still with us. Kerry Harrington was a super good mate who helped me out off and on, and he was from if I'm not mistaken, from Indian River, Delaware. There was a group from Indian River, Delaware that were some very good fishermen there, and he was amongst them. And I think he's gone on to be a very successful commercial fisherman out of Indian River,
Okay.
although I've not kept up with him. Uh, in 1975, out of Hatteras, Bill Hogan worked with me. Bill Hogan went on to run the Fireball,
Oh, wow.
which was a charter boat out of Oregon Inlet, and he was one of the first really fast boats with a single 1271, built by Billy Holton. And there were two Fireballs. One was a red one, and one was a yellow one. I remember Bill most on the yellow one, and they did a super job on the bill fish, and that was 75 when he worked for me. Uh, from the winter of 75 and the summers of 77 and 78, Chris Hickman worked for me. He was from Nelsonia, Virginia, from the Eastern Shore of Virginia. And in fact, we used to go up there and hunt on his farm, do some duck hunting on his farm between fishing. And he stayed on in Hatteras. He still lives in Hatteras, and we still talk. And he was with me from the winter of 75 in Florida, and then summer of 77 and 78. And Chris Hickman, the well known, you call him a Hattersman now. He's lived there long enough. Uh, in the winter of 77 and 78 is a name that's fairly well known, is John Bayless was my mate. He was Sam Stokes' mate in the summer and my mate in the winter. Sam Stokes on the Fighting Lady. And
Wow.
super, super good fisherman.
To
Uh,
this day.
to this day, and we talk frequently. Sam's still alive and well in Kill Devil Hills, North Carolina. But John Bayless, that goes without saying. Uh, in the spring of 78 and 79 in North Carolina, Bull Tolson worked for me. Another name, Sea Toy Bull.
Very well known.
Super, super competent in all aspects of sport fishing and commercial fishing. Does a super job and a super individual. Uh, Fall of 79 through the winters 82, 83, Mike Everly, who is back on the Summer Girl now in Costa Rica.
Really? Oh, that's nice to hear.
He's back on the Summer Girl after being on a big 92-foot Viking. I think he's finding it a refreshing change being on a smaller Bayless and not tied up in Nantucket. Nothing against Nantucket, but he had a slip up there where he had to stay there because the other dock partner required him to move his boat for him to get his boat out. So
Oh
now
my
I think
God.
I think in Nantucket it's pretty much dockage is at a premium, and you take what you can get.
Exactly.
But that I thought that was somewhat of a hardship to just be there to move your boat so another boat could get out.
Ugh.
Oh, okay, Mike Everly was with, and when Mike Everly was would he made a couple falls in Australia,
Okay.
and a boy named Dave, and I'm trying to remember Dave Jansen would work with me, and that boy could hook a fish. Let me tell you what, he was good. Dave, who would fill in for Mike Everly, Dave Jansen. Dave died, didn't he, honey? Real young. He was involved in PBS and stuff, and he ended up dying very, very young. But Dave Jansen was a great fisherman and a great guy with me. And another fellow who filled in sometimes for Mike was Pete Sheehan, also a super good fisherman. Uh, from 1984 to 87 is Arch Brasher of the Pelican.
Oof.
He needs no introduction at
None at
all.
all.
In fact, I'll tell you a story about Arch. When I Arch bought the Pelican, uh, the Sheldon Midget 50-foot Pelican uh, in the 80s, and when I got my I sold my 42 and shit, my 53 Sullivan was being built in the year 1991. And that year, to go to Florida, Arch and I came up with an agreement where we took his boat to Florida. I got to be the captain, but he was the owner. we chartered her. We chartered her. In fact, we won the Stewart tournament on his boat.
Wow.
The Pelican won a Stewart tournament.
Oh my
So,
God, that's
but
amazing.
I thought that was mighty kind of Arch to let me be the captain, even
Oh,
though it was his boat. Okay. Arch at 88 and 89, Keith Biggs from Birmingham, Alabama worked with me. He had worked with Ron Lane on the breakwater, and he worked with me a couple years, and he did a super job. One winter of 87, 88, Charlie Griffin worked with me, and what a fun winter that was with him. He was just super good. You know, we recently lost Charlie in a boating accident
yeah.
in Inlet a year or so ago. But Charlie Griffin, that was a his voice and his laugh. You'd never it was unmistakable. Also, during some of those times, filling in for me was Tom Kraus, excellent fisherman, and Pat Brasher, Arch's twin brother, who was
Really?
a who's not only probably the premier flats fisherman in his normal vocation, but is a super talented offshore fisherman as well. Pat Brasher. Uh, 89 to 94, I had Mike Brady, who's won a lot of Florida tournaments here and stuff. You're well known, Mike Brady. Uh, let's see. From 94 to 97 is Big Wave Dave Warren.
Yep.
Worked with for 3 years. We One of the kindest things he did was we won an Ocean City tournament. Praise be the Lord! And with some of his winnings, he bought an air conditioning system for the 53-foot Empress, which we didn't have. Uh, one of my better customers, Brad Watkins, had already bought me a generator, a KW generator.
Oh my God, that's unbelievable. That's
So we
great.
had a so Dave bought Dave bought an air conditioning for us to mate with the 8 kW generator that Brad Watkins had bought for us.
Oh my gosh, that's great. Ah,
Uh, After Dave Warren, from '98 until 2000 was Jimmy Grant.
That is a list of who's who.
It was interesting, and it was like I say, unless I really screwed it up, they covered all the bases. So it
You,
was sort of pretty easy to do my job with those guys covering everything that really counted.
I mean, that list, again, like I told you at the beginning of the podcast, uh, the tree, the captain's tree that has branched out from you it really is the who's who.
Oh, I
Uh,
want to, while we're on Dave Warren, too, I want to mention that as far as I know, I believe he's had the biggest payday in the history of sport fishing when they caught that blue marlin 2 or 3 years ago now, I guess
at
it
at
was,
the White
it,
Marlin
at the
Open.
White Marlin Open. I believe the fish was worth $6 million some in total.
Wow.
I may be wrong on that. I might
No,
be.
no,
I believe that's right, though.
I believe you are correct as far as it's definitely the biggest payday. As far as the numbers concerned, you might be off by a million or so. I don't know,
Yeah.
but yeah, no, it's still you're right. I think it was the only fish that was
It's
weighed.
the only, I think it won everything. I think
Yeah,
it won everything that they were in, which was everything. They were in everything. And
that is
about
amazing.
Terry was relaying the news to me. I was driving back from Stewart for some reason to Fort Pearson, which Terry said, I swear to God, I believe they're talking to the boy on the mic, and I believe it's Dave Warren. And when she said, it is Dave Warren, I'd like to run off the damn road.
Tip, you have had some of the greatest deckhands that not just that they were great deckhands, but they've taken what they learned from you and they've built really an empire. I mean, if you look at all these unbelievable captains, all unbelievable winnings, unbelievable boat builders, uh, the knowledge that you've been able to share and help these young men become into grown adults and contributing members to our industry is amazing.
Well, it's not, if I contributed anything, I would like to think more than any knowledge. I'm not very knowledgeable on knots and baits and stuff like that, but I feel like I don't need to be in what I do. But the mates have always been open with one another and shared a lot of information and helped each other out. I depend on a thriving community of them helping one another. And as far as the ethics of helping other fishermen and stuff, uh, a lot of that came from, I want to mention Captain Emery Dillon on the Early Bird. You've heard me harp about him in the
Yeah.
past. Uh, I'm proud to be one of his students, and I'm proud to be in the company of two other outstanding students of his that have gone on to professional fishing. There's some other men who have done very well in other lines of work and being lawyers and stuff like that. But particular good alumni of Emory are John Bayless. He was an alumni of Emory Dillon,
Oh, wow. Okay.
and Buddy Hooper of the Hatteras Fever of Hatteras, North Carolina.
Really?
He is also a an alumni of Emory.
Wow. So you
The
yourself
three
came
of
from
us,
a
all three, will give Emory a lot of credit for our ethic of trying your best for your party, trying your best for your fellow fishermen to help them out while you do well as well. And I tell you, one of the most touching things that I was ever a part of was Emery's wishes. He died a few years back. Emery's wishes were to be buried on the his ashes spread on the rock pile off of Hatteras, North Carolina, a feature that's a famous and important fishing feature located 22 miles off of Hatteras. And Buddy and John and I, the three of us alone, took Buddy's boat out to the rock pile, just the three of us, and spread his ashes like he wished. And that was to me that was quite a profound moment.
that's awesome. That is awesome. I'm
Emery
so glad to
Dillon, you
hear that.
never hear anything about him, but he's I'd like to think that he's had a lot to do with the ethics of fishing today that we try to stand up for. And a little post note on that is you talk about the fad fishing, the seamount fishing, as we're going to be calling it, I think. Uh, the one thing that I least enjoy about that fishery is the need for secrecy in that fishery, in that you're fishing places that have been given to you, the knowledge of those places by people who depend on you to keep that to yourself. And it goes against, all the fishing I've ever done, because I'm one to quick holler about fish on the radio, say this is a good spot, we're doing well. Not just for the pelagic fishing. Now,
Yeah.
my position on bottom fishing is this: I will never ask you where you caught your bottom fish, so you will not have to lie to me. I will not put you in that position. And unfortunately, fad fishing or seamount fishing comes into that same factor. So please, please don't judge my feelings about fishing by how you might find me acting in a fad fishing situation.
No, and listen, that's fair, and I agree with you 100%. I've always been, first of all, again, I've been very blessed that wherever I've gone, whether fishing here at home or St. Thomas, Mexico, Venezuela, Costa Rica, I've always been very forthright with information because if it ever comes the day and I need some, I want you to be open and honest with me. Don't lie to me. That's my only issue. I have no problem you telling me, listen, I can't tell you because I've promised whatever.
Yep.
Just don't lie to me. But
No,
I'm always very forthright with
no,
information.
misinformation is worse than no information. Misinformation.
Oh, misinformation is we can
That's
go that's a
that can really put you into left field quick.
yeah, and that for me that's something that's completely unforgivable. Uh so yeah, I have zero room for that. You give me I'd rather you tell me, listen, I can't tell you because of blank.
Yeah, I agree.
And,
We're on
and,
the same
and I'm
page.
and then I'm okay with that. I'm perfectly okay with that. So but as far as misinformation, no, it's yeah, after that I'm sorry, man. No matter what comes out of your mouth, I can't
No,
take you.
I agree. I agree.
Yeah, but I love giving information out. Like I said, I live by I reach behind and help those. Because you never know when it's your hand. Uh, hey, I'm going to blank. Where where can I go or who can I call?
Yeah,
Sometimes I don't need you to open a door as much as I'm going someplace that I don't know anybody. Is there somebody that can be a familiar face? Hey, what's a good grocery store? There's three fuel stops. Who can I trust?
yeah.
That's all I need. Give me one person in that town that I've never been to that I can trust because you know them. And then I'm good. Then I'm good. Chip, first of all, thank you for putting that list together. I'm so glad because I know we talked about it, and I did not want to put you in a position of forgetting anybody.
And I hope I haven't. I hope
No,
I
yeah,
haven't.
yeah, and if you did, it's my fault
I'll
because
have to put a disclaimer on that. It was
yeah,
my
yeah.
old brain failed.
Listen, first of all, I want to say thank you for joining me. It really meant a lot. I shared a picture with Miss Terry that when I had decided right before the new year that I wanted to relaunch this podcast. I started it during COVID, but I wanted to relaunch it, and your name was number one on the list. Number one on the list. You were the first person I wanted to talk to because I hold you in such high esteem. You have always been not only a wealth of knowledge, you've always been a gentleman. Because when I first met you, I was in my young 20s. And as you know, sometimes this industry can be clicky, but you've always been very polite, very open to me, and Miss Terry. I really appreciate you joining me and sharing your story with not only me but with the other fishermen in the world. And I want to say thank you to that. And I look forward to seeing you again very soon. And I truly appreciate your time today.
Yes, sir. I appreciate you giving me the opportunity. And
Yeah,
also, I'd like to say before we close it, you're mentioning Terry with she bore the brunt of a lot of business stuff during the whole time of this journey in sport fishing. We met on the boat. We met in Hatteras. She was accompanying her father, who was researching what the North Carolina State fishing school that they still put together to this day in Hatteras, where
really.
they would charter a number of boats and they would call it fishing school. And the people would come down. They'd spend some inshore fishing and then some offshore fishing. And Terry came with her father, and they were on my boat, the Temptress, for that. A girl named Alice Strickland ran that thing out of NC State University,
Oh,
and
wow.
and people signed up, and they held some classes and stuff, and it was sort of a vacation class type thing. Anyway, Terry and I met on that thing, and there was an immediate attraction, and then we lost touch with one another for a year or two, and then we reconnected in Florida. So we met on the Temptress, and it ended up with us marrying in 1979, and she's been so instrumental in running the show on the charter fishing. So all I had to do was fish, and she was handling the book and all that, and the paperwork and whatnot, and getting loans and all sorts of things that surround fishing that are not apparent immediately. So without her, we'd have never. I don't think we'd have ever gotten on the map. So
Well,
thank
a-
her.
And you also have two beautiful daughters.
I have two beautiful daughters. One who worked for the IGFA for a good long while. She still that's Julia. She still lives in Fort Lauderdale with her husband Jared, and they have two great kids, two grandchildren of ours. And my other daughter, a younger daughter, is Georgia, and she lives with her husband Brian in Hendersonville, North Carolina, in the western North Carolina, the mountains. We gather at her house for Thanksgiving all the time now, and we've been blessed with great kids, great grandchildren.
That's awesome. What more in life can you ask for?
No, you can't. No, I've been blessed to be able to do this and have that, and a lot to be thankful for.
Well, that's awesome. Hold on 1 minute. Let me just say goodbye to everybody and sign off here. Everybody, thank you so much for your time, for listening to this story, and thank you to Captain Chip. And we will check you guys later.